Hello, is this John?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, John, this is Paul, Outsider Tacklebox Internet Radio Show and Podcast. Sorry, we had the music playing loud. I got Tommy in the studio. Say hello, Tommy.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Tommy? How's it going, man? Thank you guys for having me today.
Well, thanks for answering the phone, and thanks for everything you do. I heard you work for an ambulance. You're a first responder.
Yeah, I work as an EMT, and yeah, no problem, man. It's just a job.
Yeah, you know what though? You do you, man. I mean, you do it a lot better than most. I mean, Paul doesn't even.
Thanks
do
for
anything.
your service. Yeah, that's what Tommy's trying to say. We appreciate everything you do.
Paul sits on his butt
community.
and complains about everything that I don't do. Is what Paul does.
Well, Tommy is pretty lazy.
I am, and I do it better than most.
You do. You're very good at it, and we appreciate it.
If anything's worth doing, you do it well. That's all I say.
So this is...
Isn't that how America works?
That's America. Dang it.
Well, welcome to the show, John. John is from Southern California. He is a fish slayer. Tell me your Instagram page so I don't mess it up.
He's butchering it already.
Yeah. I'm definitely not a fish slayer, but yeah, my Instagram is my brand, StaybentAnglers.
StaybentAnglers. Look at me, I already messed it up. Okay,
dude,
so
you were way off.
I was way off.
It's like that scene from freaking Dumb and Dumber. What was the name? Samsonite. I was way off.
StaybentAnglers. And John, are you pro staff for anybody else for a couple different companies, or who are you representing today?
No, I'm not. I just own Staybent, and that's it.
Staybent. All right, so we'll hear a little bit about StaybentAnglers along with your fish story. We saw the photo you sent in, that giant bass, so we want to hear, and so do our followers, podcast listeners, where you caught the fish, the bait that you were using, and the size, and if you want to, the secret location to catch that fish, because those of you who are fishing Southern California, that is a pretty big bass, and you
don't got to do that though. He can lie to us for all we care.
Well, he can tell us.
He can tell us,
so
but
that's
because we're homies after.
That's why I listen to Fish Story. I want to know where and what bait they were using.
It don't matter. You don't catch nothing.
All right, so
the reality.
Go ahead.
The reality is, it's so pressured here in California. I've tried to catch that fish again, and I haven't had luck yet. So I don't know where she's at, but I actually caught her at Lake here in the city of Rosemead, El Monte.
Okay.
And it's kind of crazy. I feel like the stars and everything just happened to align that day. Like, honestly, it was just right place, right time. I think I just got super lucky, and kind of like the context of that, it's a little ironic because I had went to the Fred Hall show the day before, and I'm like, I get super nerdy, right? Like, fishing is like a nerdy thing, at least for me. Like, so I'm like I'm listening to all the seminars at the Fred Hall show, and
yeah.
I'm like listening to everyone, and I'm listening to Don Ivano's seminar, and I really wanted to learn finesse fishing last year, like a lot better. And I was like, yo, like my finesse fishing isn't that great, and I want to get better at it, because I kind of started a little bit like reverse, I guess, like when I started fishing, I learned how to throw like hard baits first, like jerk baits and stuff like that. So I stood there and I listened to the seminar, and I was just really inspired by it. And out of all the seminars, that guy was the only one that got bit every cast. Like, when you would throw in that fish tank and he was showing different baits and techniques, like those fish just bit. So I was like, yo, you know what? I need to get like a lighter rod and some setup, and I bought some of his baits. So I bought his, I think it was like a honeycomb worm. Yeah. And I went and I ended up getting this like medium rod from Enigma, who my buddy had at the time told me, oh, like my buddy is like pro staff for this company, and you know they make good rods, and you should check it out. So I was like, cool, I'll give it a shot. You know, like I was still kind of new to it. I didn't really know, you know, what was up. So I gave it a shot. It felt like a good rod. So I went out that night to Echo Park, and like I got all my gear and stuff, super stoked, and I didn't get anything. I think I left Echo Park like at like 1 a.m. I was like, yo, like I need to go fish again. So I wake up super early later that day, like a couple hours later, like I think it's like 5, 6 in the morning. I go to Lake, and I just end up fishing all these different parts of it, and I just end up getting really lucky. And I'm fishing the Tules, and I'm casting down, and I have one of those Don Ivano worms, and I have it wacky rig, just exactly like how he was showing in the seminar.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, like, I just feel my line get real tight, and it didn't feel like you're at like a regular bite. It just got real heavy, and I was like, oh, I'm snagged. Like, I must have like snagged a Thule or something, or there's like all kinds of junk in there.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to just break off and like, you know, so I'm like slowly reeling, and I'm like trying to pull it. And then as I start to pull, all of a sudden my line starts taking off, and I'm like, oh snap, like no way, like I have a fish on. So I set the hook, and as soon as I set the hook hard, that fish took off, and I'm like, whoa, like this thing felt super heavy. So I'm like, okay, well, one, this is my first time fishing like a medium rod like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fish feels a lot heavier. But then I'm like, I probably got like a big carp or something.
Yeah.
Then I see it jump, and when it jumped, I start geeking out. I'm like screaming. I'm like, whoa! I tell my friend like, yeah. I was just like, dude, I was like, at the time my PB is like a 3-pound bass, so I'm like, dude, that's probably like a 6-pound bass. Like, holy crap! Like, I'm like freaking out.
The people
like,
at Lake Lake are looking at him like, what's wrong with him? And he's like, oh
Dude,
my god!
No, literally, there's people like running around like on the track, and they're just stopping, and you're like, what the hell? So yeah, it was like super funny. So finally, like, I'm fighting that fish. It gave me like 2 good jumps, and then all of a sudden, like, for some reason, like, everyone tells me like really big fish, because that was like my first big fish I ever caught. After a while, they just go on their side and they get lazy. Like, largemouth just kind of go sideways.
Yeah.
That one, it went sideways after a while. And so, like, I was real, like, she gave me a good fight for a while, and then as soon as I got her closer, she just went sideways. And I told my buddy, dude, you have to grab her, dude. Like, I can't slip her in. Like, I can't, there's no way, like, I'm not going to be able to grab her. Like, and he's like, well, like, I don't want to go in there. And I was like, dude, like, here, hold my rod. And, like, we went in the water, and, like, she was probably, like, maybe 2-3 feet out. And I, like, stepped in the water, and I just, like, grabbed her to lip her, and I barely hooked, like, barely had her by my hand, and I pulled her out. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is 6 pounds. Like, this is way bigger than that. So I pulled out my scale. I'm like digging through my backpack right away. And it's like, I haven't changed my batteries on my scale. So I'm like, please work. Like, put on my scale. It's like barely turning on. Like, I'm like, finally got it to turn on. I weigh it, and it says 911. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, no way. Like, do it. I was like, do it again. So I take off the scale, like reset it again. 911. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, whew. So I did that like 3 times real quick. I got pictures with the scale, weight on it. Unfortunately, I didn't have like a bump board at the time, so I didn't get to measure it or anything. But I was so stoked. Like, I got a couple of pictures with her. I had some lady stop that was like walking, and she asked if like she could keep it. I was like, no.
No,
like,
sorry, it's got to go back.
Yeah. I don't even know if they taste good. We've had somebody say they cook it, but it's
that's like in the South, dude. There's like different rules that apply down there. Just saying.
So I end up I get a couple pictures, and then I just revived her for a little bit. I let her rest, did some CPR on her, and then yeah, we
True
let
medic.
her go. I actually I was gonna release her at one part, and it was just too exposed, and I got really scared. I'm like, well, I don't know, like maybe she's gonna go like another way, or I don't know. Like, I just got scared, so I took her back out, and I kind of tucked her away deep in the tules, and I let her breathe for a little bit, and then she started kicking, and she took off, and after that it was history. I was like, ooh, hopefully we get to see each other again soon.
Hopefully.
That's a beautiful story.
Even though for him it was all love, but for her, she's like, get the heck away from me. I never want to see you again.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
That's a great photo. Thanks for sharing with us. So, a medium Enigma rod. So, it sounded like it was lightweight tackle, finesse fishing. With
I think like 6 or 8 pound line.
I think one of our buddies, Dan, is pro staff for Enigma. I think Dan Ogren is.
Okay.
So we can talk to him too.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, we have John on the line fishing Enigma, catching the 9 pound.
I know.
Almost
but
10 pounds. We're going to go with 10 pound.
Now I know where to get my rod, is what I'm saying.
10-pound bass. And
that was crazy.
so, tell us a little about your Instagram page, what you're doing there. Is it just photos? Do you sell gear? For those of us listening, what is it?
Yeah, definitely. So Stayben is a brand. I do have merch. Right now we're kind of starting off with merch, and I have like a lot of different plans to kind of venture off to that I'm building up to, and I kind of don't want to give too much of those details out yet. But
Fair enough.
initially, it was inspired just by kind of like getting back into fishing again. And when I was going out after work, I'd have long shifts, and I would just go to decompress. And when I would go to the lake, or any of the local lakes I would go to, I didn't really see a lot of camaraderie or like community as far as like people like willing to help or give you any like tips or heads up on anything. I felt like it was very reserved, and there wasn't like a lot of people in the industry that were like, like me, like Latino, or like I felt like there's kind of like a gap, in certain areas, and I wanted to create like a movement and a culture with a brand where people can like relate to urban angling and like the fishing that I like to do, and kind of like the working class guys.
Yeah.
And have that reflecting concept on clothing. And so that's kind of what I did with Stayben. And so like my like core thing is like community and like culture, and like having those concepts reflect on the merch, and being able to do more events with the community, get more involved with like the everyday people just like myself. Like I love fishing, and there's guys out there that fish every day after work, and I feel like some of them don't get recognized. Mm-hmm. And the brand that I have is just one of those brands that's like, hey, like I see you, like you're grinding, like you're out there just like I am, and I respect you, and you have like a home, and you can be a part of this movement that I'm starting, and be out there just like I am. And
yeah, thanks for what you're doing for the community. Yeah. That's a great name, StaybentAnglers. I see a photo of just a fishing rod in somebody's hand.
Honestly, that's pretty much where we are. How we kind of started. We wanted to do, when we started Outsider, it was more or less like we created a subscription box company that was based for the 40-hour work week kind of guy, like the typical beer drinking, go out fishing on the weekend type of guy. And so I like what you're doing, because it's very similar to what our roots are. So and you being local, I mean, we should meet up one day.
So we're on the line with StaybentAnglers. Check out his Instagram page. His IG is Staybent. Mm-hmm. Is it just StaybentAnglers or Staybent?
Yeah, StaybentAnglers.
StaybentAnglers. He's got some merch there. They're doing good things for the urban community, the fishing community.
Yeah.
And let's follow him and support him in any way that we can. Thanks again for coming on the show. You're welcome back anytime.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I fish every other day, so we're. If you're ever want a fishing, buddies out there, Tommy and I will go meet. We're close by. I grew up in LA, so Echo Park and Leg Lake are places that are that's home to me.
Yeah, and, we're located right here in Orange County, so dude, like seriously, we're about an hour away from you. So.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, definitely. After this, I'll text Paul, and we'll all link up soon, and we'll get together and do some cool stuff.
Yep.
From all of us here at Outsider Tackle Box radio show and podcast, Tight Lines, Fish bud. More. Thanks for coming on the show. And
hey, thank you guys. You guys too.
All right, buddy. Have a good Saturday, man. We'll reach out to you or reach out to us on personal message, and we'll get together and do something.
Heck yeah, sounds good. Thank you, fellas. You guys have a great day.
All right, buddy. Stay bent. Bye.
All right, you guys too. Bye-bye.